Hello dear student, today we'll discuss the very important part of the grammar. It is actually a very important chapter, we can say, for speaking sentences or learning in language. Now here you will find the title itself is meaningful. It has a great importance, like agreement of the verb with subject. Now when we use subject at that time, which verb we have to use it, that is very much important. Now when we talk about even we can take example of family. In the family as well, we have some of the agreement like you have to get up at 6 o'clock, you have to have breakfast at 9 o'clock, you will have to get dinner at 12 o'clock, get ready, be disciplined, obey your parents. So what are these all? These are the common rules, common principles that we follow in our family. In that same way, we also follow some of the rules in this agreement of the verb with subject. So it is also a kind of family. Which kind of subject you are going to use, with that the verb will come. Okay, so these are the common things we can find here. So let's discuss the first point, which are there for agreement of the verb with subject. So let's see the first part, finite verbs and infinitives. Actually, before going to start with subject verb agreement, the basic thing that we should know is about finite verb and infinitives. In the previous year, class 3, you might have studied, we have discussed the finite verb and infinitives. So let's revise again it. The very first is finite verb. Now finite verb agrees with its subject in number like singular or plural. Example, like you can find the singular subject agrees with singular verb. It's a basic rule. If the subject is singular, we will take singular verb. Example, like I was late to school. Now here I is what? Singular subject is singular, one person only, and was is also referring a singular verb, single person actually. For that purpose, we use it at singular subject I and singular verb was. So are you getting it? The number that the singular person, singular subject takes a singular verb. Okay, that's the number point. And if we have next point, plural subject, plural verb. Now they is what here? Plural subject. Okay, they means many people are involved in it, many people are coming into it. It talks about plural subject, and then we have plural verb, that is were. So when we talk about the plural subject, we must have to use plural verb in it, were. So the sentence frames in this way: they were late to school. Okay, so they were late to school. So here you will find the plural subject is agreeing with the plural verb. Okay, so that's what the common rules we observe, that singular subject takes singular verb, plural subject takes plural verb. If you look at the next point, what is exactly the finite verb? Finite verb actually changes according to the number. Now what number actually? If here is a singular subject, the verb is singular. If the plural subject is, the verb is plural. Okay, so singular and plural, when I am changing it, the verb has changed. So according to number, it is changing, the first thing. Second, person. If I is first person here, they is third person. So it is changing. Are you getting it? The verb is changing, and for that particular point, we can say that when we change the person, the verb changes. And the tense as well. If I am taking here I am, the present tense, so here it will come like they were. So the tense also, when we change, the verb is changing. So commonly what we can identify it, finite verb is changing according to the number, person and tense is called as finite verb. So when the verb changes with the finite verb, we call it as finite verb only. Clear? I hope it is clear to you. Now let's go for a next point, that is infinitives. Now infinitives, you have heard this many times, it's a common rule actually. When you find a verb with 2 plus V1 form. So when 2 plus V1 form is given, it is called as infinitive. But remember that this verb is not changing, it never changes, we can say. Finite verb is changing, but the infinitive is not changing. Look at the example. He wanted to write a letter to his friend. So here, if I change the person I into he, if I change, or she I change, or they I change, they wanted, I wanted, we wanted. The verb is not changing here. And if I change the tense, he wants will come, I want will come, but here to write will be same only. Example like he wants to write, I want to write. So even though I am changing the person, the tense, but to write is same only. So what we brief here, that the verb to write is never changing. Before that the verb will change, the main verb, the subject will change, but the infinitive will not change. So this verb form 2 plus V1 is called as two infinitives. And the another part we have is bare infinitives. Bare infinitive means without two, it is without two you are adding it. He helped me finish the task. Now here without two you have added finish the task. So here the same way finish is infinitive and it will not change even you change the verb tense, even you change the person, number and tense, the verb will not be affected by any of these things. Three things. Because of that purpose it becomes a part of infinitive. Okay, now look at the common point which is important for it. An infinitive is not directly linked with its subject, therefore it is not controlled by a subject in any way. So subject he or she or it is not controlling this verb to write and finish, it is not changing, and it is not controlled even by this particular subject in any way we can say. And even though we change the subject, we change the tense, infinitives are not changing. Okay, that's the brief we can find, that the verbs which are not changing according to the number, person and tense are called as infinitives. So these are not changing and finite verb is changing. Remember this very important point. And the next we have the subject and predicate. Actually a common sentence, when you talk about a sentence can be divided into two parts. So one we call it as subject and another we call it as predicate. Any sentence can be divided into two major parts. Now whatever the first part, noun is coming, that particular noun will be a part of subject, and after that from verb plus object it becomes predicate. Now we can get the idea of this by referring the examples. Like the dog is what here? Subject, because noun here and the article is both are added there, it becomes subject here, it is forming a subject. And look at this, sleeps on the sofa. So sleeps is what here? Verb, and on the sofa is object. So verb plus object we are forming predicate. Getting it? So verb plus object, that sentence becomes a predicate. Okay, I hope it is clear to you that the predicate is involving the verb plus object and the subject is involving the noun, a pronoun, or it can be any common subject as well. Look at the second example, John and Jeff. Now here and conjunction also can be a part of sentence, part of subject, sorry. So John and Jeff, there are two nouns have joined with and. Because of that reason they become two plural nouns, and for that purpose we are used here plural verb. I remember that singular subject, singular verb, plural subject, plural verb. So John and Jeff were good friends. So here were is a plural verb because John and Jeff is a plural subject. Getting it? So that becomes subject, this becomes predicate. Look at the second example here. We went on a holiday. So we is a part of subject here. Went on holidays, predicate. Next one, I go to school. So I is a part of subject and go to school is a part of predicate here, because verb plus object. Remember that a sentence first to do segregate, divide a subject from it, and then we will divide verb plus object. So divide the sentence in two parts and practice this sentence example. You take any example, any sentence and divide into two parts. It's very easy. After that, you also practice for a finite verb. After that, in infinitives, when you will practice this, it will be very easy for you. Okay, so I hope the ideas for what I have shared today is clear to you. You just need to revise and practice as well. For finite verb you practice, for infinitive also you practice. After that you practice to segregate the subject and predicate from each other. Okay, I hope this basic concept of the subject verb agreement is clear to you. Next, the more rules, the basic rules of the verb with the subject we'll discuss in the next video. Thank you so much, dear student.